So welcome to my vlog. I have 3 topics to discuss. The development of editing, the purpose of editing, and the corrections and techniques of editing. First I'll talk about the development of editing. Editing has changed and developed over the years because the film technology has evolved. The origins of cinema are linked to the work of Edward Muybridge, whose interest was how things move. To try and work out how human beings and animals moved, he used a sequence of cameras to create still images that were played back at speed to create the illusion of movement. If you were to play back a series of connected images at a rate of 24 frames per second, the brain will believe that their images are moving. One of the works that Edward Muybridge did was he tried to find out if a horse lifts all 4 of its hooves off the ground when it gallops. In production and post-production, it is important to understand the frames and frames rates because we still use the idea of frame rate to adjust the speed of images. The first ever cameras were rolls of film, which were moved by frames mechanically and moved past a shutter and lens system. They were created by the Lumiere brothers in France and Thomas Edison in America at about the same point in history. The first films that were filmed were not edited. The films would have been a single shot and shot from the same point of view. The use of a variety of shots which use multiple points of view and that the story could follow the action didn't come about until editing in camera was invented. Editing camera means a film is created shot by shot in the camera. You can then add the next shot to the story by filming it next. The Straight 8 Film Festival is a festival where entries are made up of films edited in camera. As you can see, editing in camera allows filmmakers to do more than just show the world from one point of view. Editing camera wasn't going to be enough. If you've experienced it yourself, it's very difficult to assemble a finished film in camera. Trying to judge where each shot should start and finish is just hard. It's hard to get perfectly accurate. To compensate, early filmmakers needed a way to trim shots and to alter the order of shorter selection of film called clips. In the early days of movie production, the idea of cutting up and taping film back together to edit was developed. For many years this was done by hand with a pair of scissors and a magnifying glass. The first mechanical editing decks used to edit movies were invented in 1924. The machines revolutionised editing and allowed more sophisticated cutting techniques to be developed. This technique of cutting film, reassembling the pieces, whether done by hand or help from machines, called linear editing, which is assembling clips one after the other. The process is purely mechanical. From 1920 until the end of the Second World War, film editing was done exclusively on moviola decks. Then in 1945, the German company Steinbeck introduced their machine. Steinbeck made the industry standard. The process of cutting film continues to this day. Steinbeck still produce and sell film editing decks. The idea of recording to something other than film was invented in 1951 by the Ampex research team. The first video edit machines came into existence in 1956. This is the Ampex VRX 1000, which was the first commercial videotape recorder. The original video editing systems were also linear. However, instead of physically cutting the videotape, the data was copied from one tape to another via a control desk, which would control the in and out points of clips you wanted to copy across. At the time, both the image quality and editing techniques were very primitive. They were used primarily for TV usage. Neither the picture quality or image quality was suitable for cinema use. The first feature film shot on video was Julia and Juliet in 1987. The first commercial movie shot in HD was 2004's Once Upon a Time in Mexico. In 1970, the first attempts to create non-linear editing systems were attempted. No one was able to bring a commercial system to the market. In the 1980s, Lucasfilms with the Edit Droid, but this also never turned into a commercial system. In 1989, however, Avid created the first commercially successful NLE system, the Avid One Media Composer Editing System. The Avid Editing System was a hardware plus software system based on Apple computer technology. This as the first computer-based system that turned tape data into files that could then be moved about on a timeline. One of the major developments which allowed this to happen was the creation of digital video cameras. The first professional camera, the Sony D1, coming onto the market in 1986. What allowed this change from linear to non-linear was the idea that either on film or video could be transferred into digital information, and that the information could then be altered without destroying the original file. This is known as non-destructive editing. Once the images were digital, it became possible to alter and manipulate the data in which that ways were impossible using linear editing systems. Whether it is news or documentary or drama, the purpose of editing is the same. Effective storytelling is when we control the audience's POV, which is point of view. These shots that we decide to shoot in production to be exactly what we need to tell a story in the edit. Genre is how film is defined, either with its content or style. So horrors, comedies, thrillers, actions and arts are all genres. Pace of cutting is used to control the tension in the scene. The more cuts per minute, the faster the pace. An action movie like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift will use a lot of cuts, so the pace of the film will be faster. A film like Titanic will use less cuts because of romance, so the pace of the film will be slower. By combining shots into sequences, this allows questions to be raised and answer questions previously posed by the audience. Doctor Who does this because of its cliffhangers to leave the story hanging, and when the story resumes, the questions can be answered. This clip is from the 1982 Fifth Doctor story, Earthshock, where the Doctor is attacked by two androids, where it's revealed that the Cybermen were behind them, and at the time fans would never expected the Cybermen to be in the story. Shot reverse shot is mainly used in a scene involving dialogue. The POV moves from the face of one person to the reverse view of the person they are talking to. In this scene of Sherlock the Great Game, Sherlock stands off against Moriarty. The POV, point of view, changes when they talk. A montage is a sequence of clips used in a film to show a development of a character through the film. In 1984 film The Karate Kid does this, and the music in the background is You're the Best by Joe Esposito. That was my vlog on editing.